computer or record on call.
Now,
This meeting is being recorded by the host or a participant.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, fine. Carry on, Joe.
oh well, I'm sorry we've missed VJ's words.
No, don't worry. People here might think so many times.
Oh, well, VJ, thank you so much for bringing us all together. And I think it's perfect timing. And I've been committed since I was in the London first meeting in 2005, the whole idea of Ministry of Peace. And then recently I got very involved in GAMIP again and part of the board. And I'm now really think it's the time for us in Europe to perhaps have our individual chapters and then join together. And absolute honor today, we have we have many members of the board, but two members who've got a lot of expertise in this area. Paul Mallet, who I'm sure is going to tell us about the resources he's offering to help us, because there are at the moment, there's just been a group in Cameroon have started in other parts of the world. So we've already got procedures we can follow and support, and there's a workshop that's been developed as well. And we've got Georgina, who's part of the outreach. So I think that's what's going to be so amazing, is that there's so many other amazing parts of the world who already are doing this work, and being part of GAMIT will give us so much support. Because of what's happening in Europe, this is the time when we need to change how we do politics, how we do conflict. So we are so much stronger together. And I especially like the idea of being part of something that involves the whole of Europe, because some of us in England are feeling a little bit sad because of, well, tragically sad, having left the EU, but we're still part of Europe, and we can come together and create something really, really special. I've been committed to peace since the 80s, and I'm never going to stop. But we are so much stronger together. So thank you so much for all coming today. And I'll pass you back to VJ.
Thank you, Joe. I will give the floor to Paul Mallet.
Okay, thank you very much. In 5 minutes, I'll try to cover what I can. I'm from Canada, work in the field of peace services, also on the board of directors for GAMIP, and work for Georgina in the outreach committee, and do a lot of the organizations and training with regards to working groups. So what we have very quickly is an extensive governance manual, which is available to everybody, which will lay out a pathway. GAMIP works towards Ministries of Peace, but it's also subordinate to UN Resolution 53-243, which regards to cultures of peace. So we see the important components of this are at all levels. It starts at the culture of peace, goes for I for P, infrastructures for peace, goes down to Ministries of Peace, and then its application in terms of peace architectures. Peace architectures that begin at the individual, peace practices at the peace practitioner community levels, in building peace centers or practices in communities, and then right up at the national level, where we have examples of government legislation, some wording there, and how you can go forward at the national level, which also includes being an advisory to government. Setting up a chapter would have two things. It would have the campaign component with regards to creating Ministries of Peace, but it would also have the peace building component at community and individual levels with regards to, say, education and dealing with the local issues, but also most important that the center can model what a Ministry of Peace would do. In other words, on topical issues in your country, it could provide research and advisories to the government as to what a ministry would advise the government on an issue of racism or whatever are the topical issues, the conflict of interest and whatnot. So we offer an extensive series of courses with regards to peace architectures. And we do realize that your 5 languages and 200 dialects is going to be a challenge. But each country, I think, if they set up individual national chapters, should have the flexibility to deal with it in the way that's most culturally sensitive to them and certainly most politically opportune. In some countries, we wind up finding that it's the grassroots level issues that are most important if some of the political levels are either intractable or at least temporarily not advisable to be indulging in. So you find the good entry points and you work them. You build a constituency from the ground up, and then you work it from the top down. So at both ends. So I could leave it at that unless there are some further questions.
Thank you, Paul. We will go to Kasha from Canada.
Hi, everyone. I am kind of a new member to GAMIP. I work with Georgie and kind of her division of the North American chapters. I'm a documentary filmmaker, and I'm working on a film that is about the intrinsic links between peace and climate justice. And so we see this as being a really critical tool to educate and mobilize youth towards concrete calls to action, to get more young people passionate about peace as a whole, peace and disarmament, creating cultures of peace. And from the screenings of these films, we can really point them towards ways that they can get involved. So perhaps, I know that the European climate movement, youth-led climate movements, are very, very lively and very active. And perhaps there's ways to build coalitions between these movements because the two issues are so interconnected. And you can really gain a lot of traction and support for these really critical calls to action that way. So really what we're trying to do with GAMIP is outreach to young people through these kind of engaging sessions like film festivals that I'm sure Georgie can talk more about. But that's one of the first ways that we're planning to get involved. And so it just adds a little bit of multidimensional, I guess, fun into the whole effort. So and engaging youth is really, really key. So. And did you want to?
Nope, you.
Marla, anything from you, Marla?
Kasha pretty much covered it. She's setting out a plan to engage youth through schools, through community screenings, and this is definitely something that GAMIT can get involved with as well. And we want to also thank GAMIT because they translated her trailer into Spanish. So the translation process has begun. If anyone else has a language that they can contribute to, we're more than happy to send the trailer and have it translated.
We'll put the link to the trailer for folks to watch at a later time.
And anyone's welcome to use this.
Please send the link to everyone present today. And secondly, people who don't know, the mom and daughter team are filmmakers. They produce and write and make films. And the next film they're doing is about climate change, but they're bringing the peace element and climate change together.
Thank you.
And we are very excited to see how the project goes. And if anyone can help them with funding or something, they should get in touch with Marla or Kasha. Okay, let me go to
Sorry, I just want to add that you mentioned.
Sorry, go on, Marla.
Oh, I just wanted to mention that also our interests lie in the intersectionality in terms of, feminist foreign policy, as well as engaging youth in the peace process under Resolution 2250 and, Resolution 1325. So there is that component of peace education in this outreach as well. And that's it. Oh, Georgina.
Thank you. Georgina? She disappeared.
Yes, good morning, everybody. Good morning. And good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. It seems we have a very diverse team on the call today. We are all here supporting the key issues and a world without war, which we all work towards very diligently in each of our regions. We welcome your participation on behalf of Gamut to connect and strengthen and promote, educate for infrastructures for peace throughout your regions by engaging your community and your countries in, I think what VJ would really like to focus on primarily in creating a EU community is a high level member state support for what we're working on here with our UN community, which is I for Peace resolution. So we are preparing that to go a step further to approach the UN floor, the right opportunity. It seems that the pandemic has really slowed everyone down. And so we're taking our time with that, but it seems to be opening up a little bit more now as we approach the new year. So I think Paul Mallet and Evelyn Voigt, also Alicia Cabazzuto, we've all been working very diligently to outreach and to primarily focus on education, youth, and women's participation. We are also working on a 6th global summit for Gamut, and we welcome your participation in October 2022. It will be a virtual conference, which will be held in Colombia in conjunction with several universities there participating and hosting, as well as an online program that we'll be offering. The conference theme is Peace in Action. And so we're looking for solution-oriented participation, enthusiasm for new ways of thinking, innovation, and as well as Kasha has introduced, we are bringing the arts into the Gamut Festival. I Am Peace is the film forum, and if you'd like to be part of that in any way, you can contact us at Gamut. We thank you for being here today, and especially for Joe and for VJ and all of the You for Peace people.
Hello.
Iman.
Hi, Susie. Yes, how's she getting on?
Hello. Yes. So thank you very much. And we really appreciate your being here today. And to all of the diverse people from Cameroon to Europe, Canada, and abroad. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Georgina. Okay. Ulla, would you like to say something? She's from Finland.
Yes, I'm overwhelmed by all these fantastic plans. We are just starting with this kind of project. We have been struggling for long, and we are old, and we are a very, very tiny movement, but we have a very broad network in the Nordic countries and in Europe. So, but we made last International Women's Day a suggestion for a Ministry for Peace and Sustainable Development for Finland. And
Somebody is not muted.
It's Rosemary. BJ, could you ask Rosemary to mute?
Could you ask everyone, BJ, everyone's a mute, please? Could you ask everyone's a mute, please?
Yeah. I know, but she's not on her scene.
You might be able to mute her directly, VJ. If you look at her name, you should be able to mute her.
No, I know it's Rosemary, but she's not at her scene.
But VJ, you can mute her.
Oh, can I?
Yeah. You have the power to mute everyone.
It's somebody else there. It's the decoration is there. It's not.
Right. But I have not been able to do it.
If you look for in participants and you'll see a microphone,
He
symbol,
sent me an email
click
to
on
say
it.
that she was, explain what's happening, and obviously I said that you.
Rosemary, Rosemary,
I said I'd try and go and see her soon. So yeah, if I don't get a reply from them, I'll just wander around there and
You
see what
need to
happens.
mute the microphone.
Lovely. Okay,
Rosemary.
thanks for letting me know.
Okay,
Bye
Ulla,
for now.
Rosemary, can you
Okay.
mute yourself, please? Rosemary, can you mute yourself, please?
Okay, so I go on.
Yeah.
Yes, we made a suggestion for a Ministry for Peace and Sustainable Development, since we think that they belong together. Without sustainable development, there will be no peace. And we sent it to the president and to the ministers and to all members of parliament. The response was very low, but we are continuing. And in May, we will have a small Nordic seminar on this subject with Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Finland, and we will invite somebody from GAMIP to make a presentation. I will return to that later.
Good.
But we are starting and we are not giving up.
Now,
Thank you.
now, that's the last thing we will ever do. Because that's why we are peace activists.
Yes.
Struggle goes on. Okay, let's see. Thanks, Ulla. Let's see. There are two people from Denmark, Berger and Hasse. So
yes, I will be happy.
Hmm?
I will be happy to talk, but Rosemary have to mute her microphone now.
She's done it. She's done it.
No, you can look at her and you can do it, Vijay.
No, she's done it. You can see her.
Okay, now she just done it. That's cool.
Okay.
That's perfect.
Okay,
Cool.
go on.
Yes, I'm very pleased and happy to meet all of so many new people here also in this meeting. And I'm just here to support it together with Hasse. I don't know if everybody know here, but I've been co-president for this GAMIP for 2 years together with Karen. So I've been also with Joe. Joe, were you in Costa Rica when we made the peace ministry? No, I've been there since we made the peace ministry in Costa Rica with Rita Marie. So I was also part of the with Oliver to make the big conference down in Geneva. And I have a lot of experience. I have a lot of folders. I have a lot of information about all the things that we have been doing many, many years. And I have, I will say that if we're doing a European chapter, now I will get into a little just, is a brainstorming. So instead of just talking about all the things that we just know, my suggestion will be that we need to have some, we need to have a little money to do website and things like that. Otherwise, it won't be done. That's my experience. And we need also to be very clear exactly what we're doing, and to make the goal setting to see, okay, do we need to maybe build a database about how we can make proposal to the governments in the different countries, and then put these together so we could learn from each other. And I have all the things from United States and Canada and all the other places from the old days, but also as African countries and people around the countries around the world, if they want to build a new Department of Peace or Peace and Ministry, then they can go to the database and they can see all the proposal, all the chapters, everything, and they could just see, okay, we take best practice from all these. And that would be easier to work with government people like this, because I've been working with Danish government people and they need support like this because they won't do it by themselves. And that would be the best way to do it. But otherwise, I will just support as much as I can. I'll work with the United Nations 17 goals. And I teach in all Denmark, but also in New Zealand and Mexico. And I would like to give the word to Hasse because Hasse is what you call the man on the floor. He's been working directly with all the peace people here in Denmark the last 10 years. I'm more been just what you call co-president for Gamut and doing a lot of the other stuff. But Hasse, so if that's okay with you, Vijay, I would like to give because Hasse is also very connected in the Scandinavian countries, and I've been working with Ålandsøerne, where I was going around for 2 years. We had some money from a foundation, so I had 2 years where I was going around in Scandinavia and doing different kinds of peace workshops and supporting Ministry for Peace, because I think Scandinavian have a little role to play in this project.
Thank you, Bernard. And the floor is
over to Hasse.
Unmute yourself, Hasse.
Trying to. Thank you very much, Bior. It's always nice to be talking after a co-president or former co-president. Thank you. I am, as I told you from the start, the chair of Peace Ministry of Denmark, which is an NGO network on 25 peace organizations in Denmark, who has been working on a state-run peace ministry in Denmark for 10 years now. We have been doing arrangements, meetings, and lobbyism because, as you know, Denmark is not likely, the government in Denmark is not likely to have a peace ministry in Denmark. As you know, we have been at war for 30 years, so we need that, but it's not likely that we will have it within the next 2 or 3 years. Only one party in my country has this on the agenda, and I'm sorry to say that this party is now at the moment below what is it called? It's called bearing limits of the parliament. So we are lobbying very hard, but the last year we have had a couple of online meetings on the case, one with Nordic friends. So we are very pleased to be in a Nordic cooperation with Nordic friends on the issue. And this year also we have, from our point of view, we have what we could call it. We've suggested to have a Nordic Peace Council developing within this year, and we're happy to say that we are managing this at the moment. So we have inherited from Birger Norup's organization, so that we now call ourselves the Danish Department of GAMEP, but we have never had any official recognition or contact on official levels until today. So I'm very pleased to be here. And of course, we have some ideas and very, very happy to have the opportunity to be part of the European brand of this. Thank you very much for now. I have some ideas for later.
Thank you, Hester. Just one request to everyone, that please send me your email addresses so that once we take the minutes, we circulate to all of you. So I'm going to give the floor to Brian Cooper, Reverend Brian Cooper. Brian, floor is yours. No, unmute. Unmute your. Brian.
Is that okay?
Yeah,
you can hear
now. Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you very much, and it's a great pleasure to speak to everyone across a very wide audience across the world. First of all, a few comments about Vijay's book, How Not to Go to War. This began as an important book. Its ideas spread through many meetings held by Uniting for Peace, in which Vijay addressed across Britain and Ireland. I think as the ideas have gathered strength, it's become a very important, indeed significant book, and one that we should take forward through this new initiative. In terms of getting support at the European level, I think we should recognize that there are already a range of institutions which ought to be sympathetic to a European GAMIC chapter. I'm thinking of the quite wide range of peace research centers and university departments dealing with peace issues. I think of CIPRI, of the Bradford University Department, and the department at Coventry University in this country. I think that a careful study of the Hausman's Peace Diary will show a range of peace research centers across the whole European continent. And I think contacting those could be a good base for gathering support. I want to make a few comments about one of the aspects of putting this into practice. Of course, it would involve at the central level, a ministry or department for peace, and also the local level, local peace centers. As my own experience has been primarily at the local level in organizing interfaith events for peace, I want to reflect on the local issue. Local peace centers will play a very important part in taking forward the ideas of how not to go to war. Now, these local peace centers will either be set up from the center by the government department, or they may be allowed to be set up locally by local authorities, by regional authorities, etc. Well, that has to be decided who sets them up, or would they have been an umbrella organization of bodies already existing? I would see the local peace centers as devoted to building the culture of peace at the local level, the city level, the regional level, wherever that level is defined. And this will involve, I think, liaising with and working with and empowering a whole range of groups already in existence. I think of faith groups, churches, mosques, and so on. I think of political parties, if they're sympathetic. I think of NGOs and related charities, all those that would be in some way connected with promoting peace at the local level. Of course, youth organizations will be particularly important, and the whole question of building community peace between the races, the communities, and different groups in a particular area. That would be its very, very vital role. But the local community center, the local peace center, could also have an international role. Part of my past experience was in developing town twinning. And I think that internationally, building a culture of peace through town twinning and through exchanging groups and projects across frontiers is extremely important. I think also in terms of within the European Union has many overseas contacts, and these also could be utilized. I just want to make one or two comments about the role of the central peace ministry. It raises many, many questions. I think two aspects would have to be clearly defined. One is, what are the particular aims and priorities and competencies of the peace ministry, and then how that interrelates with all the other government departments. And I'm thinking about this, I made a list of in the British context, all the government departments with which the Ministry of Peace will need to liaise and try and influence. Obviously the Foreign Office for International Affairs, the Ministry of Defense to try and redefine the role of the military in terms of peacekeeping, then thinking about international aid and linking aid, I think, also with health, because in order to direct aid towards helping health programs in underdeveloped countries. Another thing, of course, would be education, to promote peace ideas through the education system, also through culture and the arts. So I would see the central peace department both having its own program of activities, but also interliaising with the other departments to make sure they're on side with regard to promoting peace. So I just share these ideas with you and hope that the Gamut project will go forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian. I'm going to call Lee next. Lee, can you unmute yourself? Your hand is up. Can you unmute yourself, Lee? Okay, she's not responding. I've got two people here from Germany, Wolfgang and Rita. So any of you like to make a comments contribution? Wolfgang first.
Yeah, I'll just go first very briefly.
Okay,
my
Rita,
name is
Rita first.
Yes. I'm from London and I'm living in Germany, and I'm here mostly on a listening capacity. So thank you very much. Just a quick summary. I'm working on some global game-changing projects, as I call them, for sustainable living and health. So we are going to try and start a prototype and then have that go worldwide. I'm also dealing with funders and just listening to some people here who require funding. I may be able to help in that capacity to put in touch with funders and things like websites and, you know, a wide contact worldwide that I may be able to help with. So I'll just keep that very brief. I'm very honored to be here on this meeting and just listen to everyone and then put our thinking caps on after this as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Rita. Wolfgang. I can't hear you. We can't hear you. I think your microphone is not on.
Sorry, are you talking to me, Iman?
You can start. Where are you from, Iman?
I'm sorry, I thought that I wasn't sure whether you're calling my name or not. So it's okay. Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Iman and I am from Ottawa, Canada. I'm originally from Egypt. I've been living in Canada here for about 27 years. And I'm on the GAMIP UN committee. And also I have been co-chair of the Ottawa chapter of Canadian Peace Initiative, which is also a member of GAMIP in Canada with Paul Mellette for about 14 years now. My background is conflict resolution and leadership and life coaching and training. And I facilitate restorative dialogues as well. I would say like you have amazing ideas that have already been said here, so I support all these ideas. Two big things that I believe would be important when setting up the chapter from my experience would be the first thing is to agree on the values, because like with all the diversity and all the differences that you will bring, there are core values that everyone, all the representatives who will be from the different countries need to agree on. So no one unknowingly would take an approach that with a good intention that may not be in line with the values that are being promoted. The other thing is it's important to have champions inside government departments, because you're not going to have everyone on your side, but if you can have champions in key areas and then work with these champions. And also if you can get civil organizations, big civil organizations endorsing you, because that's what we did here in Canada. And we have over 40 different civil organizations here, big ones, supporting Canadian Peace Initiative when we are advocating for the Department of Peace here. So these two are key. Also, to have the ability to walk the talk in terms of dialogue among each other. Like see what difference, like if each person can ask himself or herself, okay, so what kind of transformation am I bringing into my life and am I committing to by joining this chapter, this European chapter? So thank you so much, and great to get to know you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Iman. Evelyn?
Hello, I believe you called Evelyn, is that correct?
Yes, yes, I did.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. I'm also from Ottawa, also like Iman and Paul Millett, member of many of the GAMIP committees, relatively new to the GAMIP process in active involvement, but our organization, the Civilian Peace Service Canada, was at the very beginning a sister organization to the initial CPI project for a Ministry of Peace in Canada. Our particular role in this is, as the name implies, looking at the contribution of civilian peace service. And in particular, what we found in our research in trying to make sure that we did not reinvent wheels as the Canadian Civilian Peace Service, we found that one of the areas that had not been worked on was the assessment, was evidence-based assessment of values and competencies for peace building in terms of a practical assessment methodology to, and I echo here what Iman said, that it's very important to ensure that one is looking at the core values, because as peace research is increasingly also realizing, it is the soft skills, not just the technical skills, that are fundamentally important in peace building. So our role has been to research and establish a practical methodology for evidence-based assessment of core values and key competencies for peace building. And ultimately, our hope is to have a core of peace professionals accredited, ready to serve. Thank you. And I'm so impressed with the contributions and the commitment, and will do everything I can to be supportive.
Thank you. Thank you, Evelyn. Simonetta, I may be saying it wrong, but
thank you very much, Vijay. I'm very glad to be with you all, and I do recognize faces and names from Costa Rica too. The problem is that for some years I have been distracted by many other things. I work for a Catalan NGO, international NGO that does peace building around the Mediterranean, and what we are focusing on to create a culture of peace in our strategic plans is focusing more on advocacy, as GAMIP has always needed and wanted. There are two very important things that we are facing now, which is there was a big peace congress in Barcelona in October by the International Peace Bureau based in Germany, in Berlin. And the need for more of these peace conferences to come up to give ideas in everything that I've heard mentioned now. But I have always been a fan of creating either a Department of Peace in the regions in Spain, or a peace ministry in Spain. And one of the things that I think could be an opportunity is the Peace Building Commission in the UN, and the peace a strategic plan that that is being worked on now at the UN level. I think that that is something that we will be working on, not only as an individual NGO, but also as the Federation of Peace NGOs in Spain. So this, I think, is one of the objectives we have. I would like to say in 3 years' time, I would love to say 20 years after the 2005 signing in London. I think it's the moment that we should push this need, because what is happening is that civil society is creating campaigns and saying that there are things that are not working. For example, in Europe now we have the big issue of the Russian and Ukrainian problem, but we cannot get our voices through. The states do not feel comfortable more than going the diplomatic way. A Ministry of Peace could say things with a foundation on values, which I have heard spoken of, and I would like to thank, because I think it's very important that we, as GAMEP, we have clear values, and also a common vision, which I think is probably there. I remember writing an article some years ago for Spanish university on what would a peace ministry look like. So the idea is, I think it's a very important moment now after the COVID and the need to understand, to incorporate all our peace work into something that is recognized as a social need, as a social value. And so also picked up by state and politics and policies. So this is more or less what I can contribute, and I may not be able to stay until the end. So I just want to thank everyone very much, and want to come back to GAMEP and be with you and work together, because together we can do something that I think is very, very needed now. Thank you.
Thank you, Sunanda. Yeah. How about Jerry? Jerry, can you hear me? Would you like to contribute?
Let me unmute here. Thank you, Vijay. I was part of the input group for the Department of Peace resolution in the United States. That was 20 years ago, but have been on the list here for GAMEP, and for whatever reason have not been too active in it. I was also the person who put the peace pole in the Pentagon in the United States officially. So we have a small community here in Virginia who is, the idea is demonstrating what peace can be like on the ground. Some of you have spoken about that already. And that was when I was in the United States Capitol for that consideration of a Department of Peace. I thought too, and I think this is a natural reaction for people. What can you do now while you're trying to do all the larger idealistic political things? So we have a climate change group. You've mentioned climate change. We have in fact, I had a meeting about that last night, about what's possible to do on the ground in that regard. We are close to the conference center where Earth Day was developed many years ago. And so that went national. And so we interact with that conference center. We do a lot with women and have done quite a bit with children. Behind me is a sample of a peace quilt. The children's version of this went international to thousands of children in 32 countries. It was a simple way of illustrating what we want rather than what we don't want, and putting the positive emotions in it. This is an example of something I'm calling the mom quilt, from mothers or women who don't have children but still understand the mothering thing, and illustrating what kind of a world we mothers or we women want for the children of the world. So if anyone is interested in this project, our website is www.communitiesofpeace.org. We're also starting a very simple thing of having people think of themselves as beamers, just beaming light. It's very, very simple. But on the other hand, it does make a difference too. So thank you. Appreciate your letting me speak, Vijay.
Thank you, Jerry. Maroline, would you like to say a few words? Maroline.
Yes, hello, Vijay.
Hello.
Well, I think this is a wonderful video. Well, I'm very impressed by all the contributions of everybody, and that there are so many peacemakers. I think that the main thing we have to do, and that's what we're doing at the moment, is to connect and to work together to get done what we want. Yes, and I will try to do my little part. As you have said, Vijay, we are all a little block in the whole machine of everything that's happening on the planet. So we can all do our little bit. And I will, as you know, I'm the editor of a magazine that's called One World. And I will give some attention in our new edition on the initiative of establishing a Ministry of Peace worldwide, because we have to spread the word and raise our voices. And I'm really very, very happy to see so many committed and passionate people here. And thank you so much for the invitation to be here with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Keith, would you like to contribute, Keith West?
Thank you very much, Vijay. First of all, I must give my apologies that I was unable to be with you from the very beginning, because I've had 3 meetings already whilst your meeting has been going on. But it's a great pleasure to be amongst you. I'm delighted that this is so well attended. Keith Best, I'm the immediate past chair of the World Federalist Movement, and also a former British member of Parliament, and involved in a lot of other organisations as well. I just want to reiterate a couple of points, and these are axiomatic and everybody will understand them, so they're a bit trite in a way. But first of all, peacekeeping is very different from peace building. Peacekeeping is after the horse has bolted. It is too late to try to restore peace. What one needs to do is to concentrate on prevention rather than cure. So peace building for me is very much early identification of areas of tension, and not just actual conflict, but potential conflict in different parts of the world, and trying to ameliorate those by trying to build dialogue and consensus, and to try to ensure that the potentially antagonistic players on the field are ones who can come together. Britain had its own experience in Northern Ireland of where peace came after an appalling loss of life and a whole generation dominated by what we call the Troubles. And that was a remarkable feat in itself, but arguably it came too late. And frankly, the origins of that crisis started back over 100 years ago. In fact, even at the end of the 19th century, when the then British government was not prepared to grant some degree of home rule to the people of Ireland. But I won't go into that history. So it is, I think, looking very much at the flashpoints in the world, and the concept of ministries of peace are ones that can do that, can actually look and concentrate on building peace. And although, of course, national politicians are elected by their national electorates and will feel their immediate responsibility to those who elect them, there are some issues, such as peace, which naturally transcend national boundaries. The only way you can build peace and security for your country externally is by engaging with external actors of those who may wish to do you harm or whatever, and to try to assuage the fears of those who think you may wish to do them harm. So I believe these are concepts that are well understood, but we need to put some impetus behind them and to actually try to make sure that people are trying to deal not with just the problems of today, but the potential problems of tomorrow. And if that had been a greater focus throughout history, we would have seen a lot less conflict. So I wish you all well in these deliberations.
Yeah, just Keith, Joe Barry, he is here today, and Joe Barry, Joe.
I know. Well, I of course
and
had the
Joe. Keith knew your dad.
Well, can I just say before Joe speaks, I had the privilege and pleasure of serving in Parliament with her late father, and I was there at the time of the Brighton bomb. So, and I just have such a great deal of admiration and respect for all that Joe has done subsequent to that, has been really setting such a wonderful example to everybody of how you can actually achieve a degree of reconciliation.
Thank you. I'm going to give the floor to Vera from Nigeria. Vera, would you like to speak?
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, good evening, everybody from Nigeria. I am Vera. I actually was invited to this meeting from the World Federalist Movement and the Institute for Global Policy. I joined them recently, and they invited me, sent me the invite for this meeting today. And I would say I'm excited and motivated to see people of like minds, because sometimes when it comes to an environment where you have a mindset or you have a conflicting mindsets, it's really not easy dealing with people. But being in your midst and hearing about the peace talk is an encouragement to me. Thank you all. And I would want to mention as well that lately I've been interested in the peace talk, and this have made me to, go and search for books
I think we lost you.
And peace, the Peace Academy, and I've gotten to have another perspective of peace, another interesting perspective of peace, and I'm really happy to have been part of the meeting today, and I've got to have more understanding on this subject, which will enlighten me to be able to pass the same message, because I have an organization of women, close to 7,000 women funny enough, but I'm trying to see how we can get to a kind of sensitize our homes, start the peace talk from our homes. Because if our children are sensitized, if they are educated on the issue of peace, it goes a long way. Because one of the courses I did with the Peace Academy, which had the title Peace, Understanding Peace and Peace as a Solution. If the foundation is laid, the peace foundation is laid, it will go a long way. Other than resolving issues, if peace is laid as the foundation, it will help us to have a better world to live in. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Nice to have you all, and it's really, really an interesting thing to see people of like minds. That's the much I can say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vera. Justine Coachu. Can you hear me, Justine?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Hello to everyone.
Yeah, let's hear you. Where are you from?
Yes, I want to say that I am from Cameroon.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see me. I am currently in the southern region of Cameroon, where we are having a workshop. Some partners of the UN and the UNAIDS on the Education Plus for girls. So I want to say that I've been following up the discussions with a lot of interest. It's so interesting to learn the different experiences of different peace experts. And for us in Cameroon, we take it as a learning point, knowing that we are going to be starting up our own peace chapter, the GAMIC Cameroon branch. And so for me, it's been a learning experience, and everything that all of you have presented is so important for us. And I like the different approaches. And I want to say that a take-home lesson for me today, or an innovation that we're going to be building on in Cameroon, is the I am peace, which I got from one of the speakers. I am peace. So we're going to be building on that and hoping that at the time we launch the I am peace campaign in Cameroon, we'll have more than 1,000 people sign up. Because if you say I am peace, it means that the peace starts with you. And if you don't have peace, you cannot extend peace, you cannot build peace, you cannot make peace happen, especially beginning from the home, as my sister from Nigeria has just said. So we are really delighted, looking forward to continuous collaboration and learning together, knowing that in not far from now, we're also going to be starting up our Cameroon chapter. But before that, we are looking forward to having a Cameroon working group meeting. So really delighted to be part of this strong and powerful house of peace builders, experts, professors, and ladies. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks, Justine. I will now give the floor to Bernie Holland.
Thank you, VJ. Right, first of all, I want to express my deep gratitude to VJ for giving me time to speak at this meeting. There are lots of friends of mine at this meeting. When I'm looking at the Zoom box, I see a lot of people here I already know, and I'm meeting new friends here today. And it's a wonderful experience to know that we have all this incredible, building this incredible network together of GAMIC. So I'm going to keep my comments short, but I'd like to, I've been making notes as I go along. I want to sort of connect up with things that Evelyn said, that Simonetta said, and that Keith said. And I want to talk about soft power and non-compliance. Now, I've got some rather good news for everyone, if you don't know this. The Croatian president, Zoran Milanovic, has announced that Zagreb will pull its troops out if an operation is started by NATO in, we know all about this. I'm not going to go into. We know the way that the narrative has been reversed completely regarding this. However, all I want to say here is that I'm given great hope by this, because this could be a domino effect in other nations when they realize that the interests of their particular nation is more important than the interest of NATO. So I feel that the example that Milanovic is setting, he actually said in a television interview recently, he said regarding this escalation, he said, if anything starts up here, we're having nothing to do with it. We won't have anything to do with it. I will guarantee you that. So I believe that the stance taken by him could set a trend whereby other nations who have been browbeaten into complying with the designs of NATO, which we all know are quite insane, will actually start to look into their own interests rather than being part of this great big sort of organization. So where Gamut comes in here is that the education and the networking, that's incredible resources we've got. I've heard all the speakers today, and I didn't realize, you know, before I came to this meeting, what exactly the range of resources that we have, and that these peace ministries are vital to set these peace ministries up. And infrastructure is the word. You know, we need to build a new architecture of security in Europe, and we need to invite everyone in. You know, Russia needs to be invited into this new architecture of security, and put to bed this idea that you know, that there's a threat. So I'm going to leave it there, and I'm just going to thank everyone today for coming along to this meeting. It's very inspiring, it's very encouraging, and you know, I'm going to do whatever little I can do. You know, we may think that we're not persons of great influence, but together we have this incredible power. You know, this unity. What we share is a unity that the politicians and these warmongering organizations, they don't have this unity, because they're all vying amongst each other for the spoils. But you know, we have this single-minded vision of creating a peaceful world, and that unity cannot be broken. This solidarity it's indestructible. So I'm very happy to be part of this, and I salute every one of you who is actually committing yourself to this cause. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Barney. Three people haven't spoken as I see the people here. Gulnara, would you like to make a comment?
Yes, yes.
Where are you from, Gulnara?
First of all, thank you very much for making me part of this very inspiring conversation. I am from Armenia. I'm a former UN Special Rapporteur on Slavery and a Special Rapporteur on Trafficking. So I was working in the area of this, but together with that, I have founded after the 30 years ago, first peace building organization in Armenia. And it works still now because the needs are there. Recently, we had the second war 2 years ago, and still going on through consequences. So there have been very interesting discussions, and which I would learn and I input in the work I'm doing. 10 years ago, we are working on different levels. On a level of communities, specifically border communities. Second level is a regional, building peace within the Caucasus. And then 11 years ago, we established an International Young Women's Peace Award to commemorate work of famous peace builder who received Olof Palme Award for Peace, Anaid Bandur. And together with that award, we are arranging annual conferences dedicated to various issues of peace. This is, you know, budget of peace, budget of war, resolution 1325, resolution 2250, various aspects. And this year, just recently, we finished conference. We're very much concerned about issue of displacement. and its different root causes. Alongside with this conference and award ceremony, we have established a platform of politicians, academics, women from the field who are working in the peace building area. And together we understand that, we have to work together, and the support is very important. We are raising issues, supporting each process which is taking place. Yesterday, we issued a special statement on Ukraine. Then there was a statement on Belarus and appealing to the government. There was on Lebanon. There were different aspects of our work. So I think the experience and knowledge which I learned here, and I'm very thankful for invitation. I'm not part of this, extremely knowledgeable group and extremely experienced group. I was just receiving invitation from World Federalist Movement. Thank you.
Justine, can you hear me?
Can you ask people to mute, please? Can you ask people to mute?
Please mute.
We're getting interference when people are speaking from people who are not muted. So please, could you mute when someone else is speaking? Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, we can't hear them.
Okay, I'm going to make a second attempt for Lee. Lionel Party.
You have to shut Justin down.
Justine,
can you open your mic?
Justine, can you hear me?
Yes.
Justine. Yeah. Justine, can you hear me?
Yeah, not many here.
Listen,
Justine, can you mute,
you can mute
please?
him. VJ, you just mute her.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's mute now. Okay, let's hear from Lee Lonokari. Unmute yourself. Now, you got to unmute yourself.
Her name is Leah.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah. Where are you from? Where are you?
Yes, I'm from Finland.
Finland,
and
okay.
I'm really glad to be a part of this wonderful meeting with such a good ideas from a lot of people all around the world. I don't have much more to say than Ulla already told, that we just have started our missions in Finland for having a Minister of Peace. And as Ulla also told, that we are going to have during the coming spring a Nordic meeting. And I support also the European meeting, so maybe this is a start. And I'm really glad that there are also young people who are supporting the culture for peace, because that's really one issue that all the peace builders should work on. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Lee. Frank Jackson, would you like to make a comment? Frank Jackson.
I wasn't expecting to be speaking, VJ, so I haven't got anything prepared to say. I have not been, as you know, of course, I am a member of Uniting for Peace and many other organizations, but I have not been specially involved with the Ministries for Peace part of that activity. The only thing I might say, not specifically about the Ministries for Peace, because there's quite a lot of complicated questions about exactly how to set them up and exactly what powers and where in the structure they fit, which I'm not competent to comment on. But I just want to take up what Bernie was raising, and the one thing about the situation with Ukraine and Russia, I want to flag up the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, which comprises all the members, all the countries of Europe, and including Russia and Ukraine. And that is the organization that really ought to be involved as a regional organization of the United Nations. And it operates, I understand, at about 1,000th of the budget of NATO. And yet it gets very, very little publicity, very little support. And despite that, it has actually diffused a number of potential conflicts over its existence, and with more resources and with more support, rather than building up the armaments on both sides, that is a constructive way, would be a constructive way to go forward for the UK government and everybody else involved. But sadly, that very, very few people with in a position of power are actually taking that point. So I think that's my my contribution. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Frank. Wolfgang from Germany, would you like to make a comment?
I hope it works now. Do you hear me?
It works, yeah, we can hear you.
Very good. Yeah, I'm not so much involved till now in these peace ministries. We have a local association called the International Peace Factory in Wanfried. But first I want to go to the current points. We have really to go back to the way Gorbachev has started, to build one Europe, the European house, including Russia, the Paris Charter, which they don't speak anymore about it. This is a point we have to work together on it. And a long time, I must also say, after the end of the Cold War, I thought this confrontation will not come again. But I think you all know the US worked on dividing Europe because they knew if Europe and Russia is together, they might not keep their global dominance. So they tried everything to divide us. And what they could, they put rockets at the borders of Russia and were wondering when they reacted and told them the East European countries, they attack you. So it was Clinton, I think you know, from 1994 already, when Yeltsin was still in power, he started to expand the NATO. But the idea before was we make a security system together with Russia, not that just the one who won the Cold War expands and encircles Russia to show them we are dominant, you have nothing to say anymore. And now it has brought us in a very big risk of a world war. So it is very important for our network that we develop from the civil society level cooperation with people in Russia. We have to bring them together to find this enemy picture. And to see how we come together, we have to be even lucky if we survive this crisis. Let's hope. The second point, the next point is a risk of a war with China is very high. We have to work for a foreign policy to prevent it. Every day there can be clashes in the ocean in front of China because the American fleet is going up and down there every day, and there are always small risks of clashes. So this is also very important. We need a foreign policy of Europe that we try to bring them together. And the peace will only be if we get a multipolar world, because China will economically pass the US. And if it stays peacefully, the US will lose the dominance. And therefore the risk is very high that they use their dominant military power to prevent it. They speak like this in the US. And you know how they develop a hatred picture against China. And this also will finish mankind if it comes to this war. So the second point is we have to see, even from Europe, that we try to bring US and China together and balance, help to solve the conflicts. The third point, where Europe is very much involved, is the so-called war against terror. It must stop. We must do everything that this war stops, because the rich countries only use force. They don't look the reasons why violence is escalating. The climate change, which destroys the living condition, the unfair economic relationships to the global south, where the young people have no chance to get jobs. They take the raw materials. They don't develop procedure industries in these countries. And the young people, they are naturally frustrated. And this is a field where extremists can recruit them. But Europe and the industrial countries only say, okay, people use violence, war. And it escalates. They killed so many innocent people that more and more people join these groups. So we have to fight, to work on solving these problems with dialogue. And this foreign policy we need in Europe, because the European countries, beside the US, they are involved in these wars. They have escalated. Nowhere it brought a solution. It made everything more difficult. And now, some people say Mali will be the Afghanistan of Europe. In whole Sahel, the violence is expanding. And the African politicians warned them, if you put down Gaddafi, you destabilize whole West Africa, and they did it. They brought Libya down, and from there, the violence spread to Mali, from there to Burkina Faso and Niger. Millions are now pushed away from their homes. 10,000 are killed, and there is no solution. We have to try to work on to stop this war. And now I want short to tell what we are doing. We have here a factory in the middle of Germany, direct at the former border, inside German border and between East and West. And in this factory, we try to make local work. We have a group, and here are Africans inside. So we go in schools, we go in nursery, and try to bring people here and in other countries and with migrants together. That we have migrants is a very big chance for our world to bring people together. And one of the ideas of the of the UN Charter is friendship relationship between people is a base of peace. And this, I think, also we have to work on personal connections that more and more people get, because if you know common people from other countries, you see most are in order. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Kendra Mon.
I'm just glad to be here. I'm from the US and the Department of Peace Building Campaign. And I'm just a happy observer. Thank you.
Ahmed from Shahideh from Azerbaijan.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mehta. I'm very happy to join these wonderful discussions. It's my honor to take role and to express my opinions as well. Thank you for kind invitation, Mr. Mehta. Especially, I want to underline that today's topic is very actual for our planet, for all humanity, because of what's happening in the world today, especially the NATO-Russia tension, worries all of us. And mankind is tired of wars and conflict. As a citizen of a country that has just emerged from the war, because I am from Azerbaijan, I must say that the war does not benefit any side. Human losses, distractions, unfinished destinies, and broken dreams, what we saw during the last war between Azerbaijan and Armenia in 2020. And all these are the evils of war. Azerbaijan has been suffering from the problem of territorial integrity for 30 years, and we have always been in favor of resolving this issue peacefully and through negotiations. Unfortunately, it was impossible because our neighbor Armenia continued its aggressive policy, and in September 2020, war became inevitable between Azerbaijan and Armenia. And within 44 days, Azerbaijan restored its territorial integrity and inviolability of its state borders. And This war cost Azerbaijan billions of dollars, and we lost 6,000 our people. The other side, Armenia, suffered more losses. But today we are working for peace in the region. We wish peace with our neighbor, with Armenia, and we want to leave behind the 30-year war and live in peace and neighborliness with Armenia again. And our desire alone, I think, is not enough for this. International organizations and all world powers must also help us in this issue. I think that the first step we will take during the post-war period should be the establishment of a Department of Peace or the Minister of Peace. It doesn't matter what it will be named. And I think if both Azerbaijan and Armenia take this step, we can achieve a lasting peace between these two countries sooner. Unfortunately, the ministers of foreign affairs played the role of the, how to say, minister of defense by making harsh statements from time to time. And in this regard, this issue should be discussed at high level, at the UN level, and the establishment of ministers of peace should be an important condition for all member states. I would suggest that at the end of this online conference, we should address our final appeal to the UN Secretary General and relevant international organizations so that our voices can be heard. I do not want another war in my country, in my region. I do not want the war to break out in Ukraine and another countries, but sometimes war are inevitable, because wars are inevitable when international law is violated, when the territorial integrity of nations, of countries is violated, when the innocent people are killed. And today the whole world has joined the arms race. All countries are competing over which country will produce more powerful weapons. Billions of dollars are spent. And how do you think we can live in a better world if this money will be spent on humanity, on peace and harmony? I think we can do it, and we have to do it. Thank you, and I will wait for your opinions and comments about this. Thank you.
Thank you, Ahmed. A few people haven't spoken. So I know Has and Ullah want to speak, but let me give the floor to Anthony. Would you like to make a comment?
BJ, thank you very much. Can you hear me all right, everybody?
Yes, yes, we can.
My name is Anthony Russell. I'm in London, and I'm a cultural historian and founder of the Shandals Foundation, promoting peace and understanding globally. And I'm on the committee of Uniting for Peace, and deeply impressed by everything I've heard today. I mean, an extraordinary bunch of people. So I'm honored to be able to speak to you. And I just very briefly wanted to say that Vijay, out came the newsletter for Uniting for Peace, and I was so impressed with it, because I saw it had a serious bent towards the environment and the idea of global understanding and global governance. And that seems to be a theme going through the discussion today, which excites me enormously. And I've been working with something recently called Vote GPA. It's a working title, but it's a group of people that believe that everyone in the world from the age of 13 should have a vote to vote in the scientists to help the environment to work out what needs doing. In other words, bypassing the sort of Westphalian state system where personal sovereignty is everything. And a lot of these people are quite, well, they're in the corporate world, they are quite right in their ideas, and very different from a lot of the people involved in the peace movement, put it that way. And so that got my mind working on ways that we could reach out to them, because there are a lot of people in the world who perhaps now not quite, you know, they deny the environment is in crisis. And as far as war is concerned, well, that just makes money. So why not let's just do war? So I suppose what in occupying my mind is the idea of how we bring people together, how we unite for peace. And so what I've heard today about values and connecting the environment with the peace and other issues are so important, because at the moment it seems nothing matters more than collaborating internationally. And finally, I have been involved with something called civilization, which says there is one thing that all religions seem to have in common, and all people that are non-religious, and that is respect, universal, unconditional respect. So maybe that is something that we could have as a foundation value I put forward, and as a way that we can have something around which we can all unite. That was just an idea, but thank you so much. It's very exciting to be involved with you.
Thank you, Anthony. Haldi, can you hear me? Would you like to contribute? Are you there, Haldi? No. Okay. Okay, I'll give the floor to Valadan, who just come in today. He's from Sweden. So can we hear you, Valadan?
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank
Yes,
you very
yes.
much, Mr. Mehta. So just a moment. I apologize. Hello, good evening, everyone. So I apologize for late attendance. I actually had another meeting that took a little bit long time, but I can tell you that the topic was also kind of similar about contributing to kind of a more decentralized economic development, but like connecting ecology and markets together across the world. And you may please call me Vlad. That's kind of easier to pronounce. And I'm here tonight as a secretary of the Peace Quest International, which is a Sweden-based peace-promoting organization. We started already before the end of the Cold War, and one of the things we actually did was, at that time, was organizing summer camps by bringing young people from the Soviet Union, United States, and Sweden to meet each other and discuss about peace, discuss about problems with conflicts and wars, and to kind of create a common global vision. And it's very wonderful that many of these peace questers that met it like in 1986, 1987, they still have contacts with each other and are cooperating and are kind of trying to influence on governments and other organizations to, you know, be better, be more peaceful. And I can also add that I'm active partly in Democracy Without Borders, which is kind of promoting this idea of a world parliament and world citizen initiative. So I see from my experience that there's a connection between promoting peace, like in this idea of Department of Peace around the world, global democracy, and kind of more, how to say, digital involvement of people through communities and networks. And I actually am also kind of proposing for the next upcoming European Parliament elections. I'm also preparing for a campaign for a kind of European Peace Commissioner. So that should be kind of a DG, like a department, Director General for peace, so to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Vlad. Okay, let's go to Haldi. Can you hear me, Haldi? You got your hand on. Okay, I think probably she's not there. I'm going to go to Ulla. Ulla?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you. First of all, to Vlad, I think it's a great idea with this European Peace Commissioner. But I would like to add this, what we are really pushing, that there can't be peace without food and water and women's rights and social rights. So it should be a commissioner for peace and sustainable development. The Agenda 2030, the 17 goals, if we can reach them, there will be more peace on earth. But then I would like to go to Wolfgang, because Wolfgang took the issue which is at my heart, that is the situation, how Russia has been treated since the Second World War. Our president, Mr. Niinistö, has made a suggestion that there should be a new OSCE summit in 2025 to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the whole Paris treaties and so on. And he has got already backup from the German government, from Russia, from the United States. And if everything goes well, we might have a new OSCE summit in Helsinki in 2025. And for that, we have collected a support letter from 130 organizations in the Baltic Sea region, from the Baltic Sea countries. Out of them, we had 40 German organizations. And this letter we have sent as a support to Niinistö, to the OSCE office, to all the governments in the Baltic Sea region. And this could be a real good opportunity to, at this OSCE meeting, if it comes to Helsinki, have also a GAMIP meeting and coming up and say, now there is a solution. We need to have departments, or do call them ministries, for peace. So this is just an idea. And for Vlad, I would also say, maybe we should start collecting these 50,000 signatures or whatever it is in Europe with the suggestion for a commissioner for peace and sustainable development.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Essie?
Hello.
Okay, Hildy?
Yes,
I raised.
Oh.
Hello.
Okay.
I raised my hand a couple of minutes ago because I was going to get away from this meeting because I have another meeting coming up. But now, just let me have a few words. I would like to tell you that we are having a meeting in Denmark, Wolfgang, because we are ahead of the Olof Palme Commission 40 years ago on the common security principles. And I think this is very important to look at when Willy Brandt and Egon Bahr and Olof Palme and all the social democrats in Europe was launching this. And we need to go back to that, Wolfgang, I think. So it's not going back, it's going forward. We are looking we are optimistic about this, of building a new European architecture of security, not for nations, but for people. So the other things I would like to say is that, Kasia, in Denmark, we are working very close with the environmental and climate organizations to raise awareness of the military emissions. One point. The other point is, of course, to move money from weapon production to the UN goals. That's a main point in our struggle on daily lobbyism work. Next is we are ICANN partners, which means that we have spent a great deal of energy to persuade the Danish government to sign the treaty, the UN treaty on prohibition on nuclear weapons. I think that's very important. We work with two very important things. One, climate environmental, and the other thing is this atomic bomb fear that we all share. Now, what I would have liked to say, instead of these political blah, 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 is that I have been working with for 20 years with project and idea development. I'm a great organizer, and I was telling you about this idea of having a common Nordic Peace Council, so that we could coordinate Nordic peace work towards the Nordic Council, Baltic Council, and Arctic Council. Now, I was hoping that this European chapter of GAMIP could be established so that we, on a European level, could, one, coordinate what we do in the Danish life. I can hear that we have a need to find out why we should have ministers of peace, what could they, what are their competences, what is the status of all countries in Europe of this. We know this in Europe, in the Nordic countries at the moment. And then, of course, could we direct our lobby work on daily towards the OSCE, as Ulla and others mentioned, and of course the European Union. So before we end this meeting, before I end this meeting, I would like to offer you to be part of a group trying to organize this European chapter. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Healthy? I don't know if I'm...
Hello.
Hello. Where are you from?
I'm from Cameroon. I work with Justine Women in Alternative Action, WA Cameroon.
Sorry, where are you from?
WA Cameroon. I work with Justine, WA Cameroon, Women in Alternative Action.
All right. All right. Speak. Yeah. Let's hear you.
Okay, thank you so much for this opportunity. I recently attended a workshop with the ABC Institute. ABC is Asset-Based Citizen-Led Development Institute. They had a project blending citizen-led, community-driven research and practice to build a women, peace, and security agenda in Cameroon. This workshop was organized by RACH in partnership with the Coady Institute and the Canadian High Commissioner to Cameroon. And the take-home message I got from this meeting, which I would like to share, is the fact that when it comes to peace building, it is very important for us to use an asset-based approach. In as much as the need-based approach is relevant, we have to focus more on the asset-based approach, that is building the capacity of women and youth for order to have sustainable peace and security. And also, when we are doing the aspect of peace building, we have to focus on the localization of Resolution 12, 13, 25, and 2250, which of course has to do with women and youth. So our approach is focusing more on women and youth for us to have sustainable peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Healthy. Okay, a couple of people haven't spoken. I don't know if they like to speak. Lilias Shane? Lilias, would you like to speak? Lilias is
okay.
Your name.
I am speaking. Yes, here in Littlehampton, where I live, we have started the Littlehampton and District Guild of Cooperators for Peace and the Common Good. This kind of started because every year in this country we have 2 minutes silence on, and as far as I'm concerned, that's to remember that we did actually have peace shortly. The armistice was signed at 11 o'clock in the morning on the 11th of November, and peace was declared very briefly. And but our children are not told that. They're told, oh no, this 2 minute silence is to remember the people who sacrificed their lives so that we could have the great life that we have today, etc., etc., glorification of the military, etc., etc. So one of our things is to try and dispel that myth and realize that war is not a heroic thing. It is something horrible that should be avoided at all costs. The other thing that we have in Littlehampton is every year we have an Armed Forces Day, where the military bring in tanks and lorries and guns and encourage the children to climb all over these military things and hold guns and look at guns and all this kind of stuff. So we are planning to have something to counteract the Armed Forces Day, which might be something like a non-forceful peaceful day, or a charmingly disarming day. We're trying to go to the absolute opposite of the military.
Thank you.
So that's one thing
so
that we're
much,
doing, a
Lillian.
tiny thing that
We only got
we are
10
doing here in
Lillian.
Littlehampton.
Lillian.
I have personally camped outside the arms fair for years because of anti-weapons, and I'm a member of CND, etc., etc., etc.
Okay,
That's
thank you,
it.
Lillian.
Thank you.
Two people haven't spoken. Ravi Kumar, would you like to make a comment? Ravi.
Hi, Vijay. Thank you for let me say a few words. I agree with everything that's been said, actually, and it's been great to hear all the wonderful speakers from across the world and their commitment to peace. The only thing I'd like to see personally is the media is dominated by right-wing media, and when they talk about the situation, for example, in the Ukraine, nobody ever really asks, how the situation has arisen, what steps can be taken for true peace, and it's almost like the media are complicit in this. And anything we can do to help promote, the prospect of peace is a great thing, and I think it's an achievement if we can get that. Even our politicians here in the UK, it's almost like they all get in line with the agenda, and nobody's even questioning what's happening there. So I think our efforts will have a massive impact in many countries across the world that are suffering the prospect of war and conflict. And we need to start talking up peace, because there's plenty of people, especially in the media, that want to talk up conflict. And I think anything we can do can ultimately lead to good. So it's great to see you all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Rosemary? Rosemary, would you like to say a few words?
You have
Yes.
to unmute, Rosemary.
Yeah, I should be. Can you hear me? Yes. Yes, I've been very, very interested. Everybody has spoken brilliantly, and everyone is really on the same chat line, which is excellent. Especially, I was so impressed by Wolfgang, well, I think it was from Germany. He spoke about Gorbachev. Yeah, Wolfgang Liebknecht, Germany. Gorbachev and what he did, and how this has all fallen apart. We've gone back to confrontation. We've gone back to assuming that NATO is peacekeeping. NATO is not. NATO is incredibly dangerous. Also, Bernie, I was very impressive with what he was saying, and so many people, even just now, Ravi Kumar, yes, I completely agree. So it's wonderful that we've all got together. Somebody at some stage said no one benefits from war. Unfortunately, this is not correct. Capitalists and big arms manufacturers benefit from war. People should understand this. We have to educate, and as Ravi said, we have to change the stance of the media on this, who don't, well, I'm sure that some of them do understand, but they certainly don't put forward that there are people who benefit from war, but that is not you and me. And it is all dangerous. So the people here have all got the right idea, and the meeting has been brilliant. And thank you, VJ, and everybody who participated.
Thank you, Rosemary. I see here Naduku Louis. Can you hear me, Naduku? If you can, you like to contribute. You're muted at the moment. Okay. Well,
sister.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's Heidi. Okay.
You want to stay on today.
You have spoken before. Now, because we only got a couple of minutes left. So it's been wonderful, all of you, to be here. And we have got a lot of ideas which will need maybe a team of few hundred people and lots of resources, especially funding, and then we are in business. So what we are going to go through is the minutes and the report, and see what are the ideas, like in USA, what they call the low-hanging fruit, what we can achieve, where we can start. And once we do these ideas or summarize what has been said today, then in the next meeting will not be a brainstorming meeting. Next meeting will be a first of all, I would like people from different places to send me their inkling or their intention that if they like to be a part of a team, and we will make a team, and from there we'll set up the agenda, and then we go forward establishing or taking the next step, establishing Ministries for Peace. I see Bernie's hand here. Bernie, you want to say something? Bernie Holland, do you want to say something? Your hand is up. He's not even listening. So unless someone like to say something,